What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. There was a recent article from Bloomberg that unfortunately I was not able to read because I couldn't get around the paywall. And naturally, I am not going to spend one dime of my hard earned cash to read propaganda from Bloomberg, but it's titled Inflation Pushes Gen Z Couples to Move In Together at Record Rates. And they are not being subtle at all here. They got these, two gay guys on the couch and they're just shacking up. That's the picture of Gen Z. We are driving this agenda down your throat at all costs. Do not question it. And naturally, Bloomberg is one of the premier agenda-driven media outlets founded by little Mike Bloomberg. I don't know how much he has to do with the day-to-day at this particular point in time, but I believe he was the one that started it. He ran for president. Of course, he notoriously tried to ban big gulps in New York because he wants control of everything. He spent millions, if not billions of dollars on his campaign. Then he spent more millions of dollars backing other Democrats to make sure that Orange Man Bad didn't get the job. And now here they are claiming that this story is about inflation, but it's really just letting you know that they are going to push the LGBT barbecue agenda on you at all costs. However, they did make a YouTube short about it, so let's see what this reporter has to say about why Gen Z couples are moving in at record rates.
A decades high inflation rate has taken
A decades high inflation rate. I think it's been longer than that. And it doesn't really matter because it's all on purpose, right? They want to, they want to destroy your buying power. They want you dependent on somebody. If it's not the government, then just pick somebody else and you guys are stuck together and you have to live in your pod forever. Eat the bugs, right? And you're going to get your little carbon emissions, your little allowance of how far you can drive and your little electric bike. And, you can't buy a Tesla because we hate Elon Musk, but we need you to buy some other. I mean, this is all absolute nonsense, but it is disguised as a story about inflation, which is terrible. But when you look at that cover, when you look at that photo, you realize this is them trying to normalize. I mean, they want nothing more than to just make sure if they want to make everybody trans, they want to make everybody gay. Right? And if you object to it in any way, shape, or form, then you, of course, will become the villain. But this isn't really about inflation. It's about letting you know that this is what we're ushering in. On top of inflation, that we did on purpose, right? We just printed all the money. And Donald Trump is hugely, guilty for that as well. But he only did that because of the super scary, deadly disease that you couldn't leave your house with, that was foisted upon us to, of course, get rid of him and control the entire world's population, apparently. But I digress. Moving on.
a toll on Americans in many ways. For a record number of Gen Zers, inflation might have been the final push when deciding whether to move in together with a partner.
I doubt it. I doubt that they were thinking, well, inflation's so high, maybe I should move in with my boyfriend. No, I mean, they're not saying that outright, but, things cost a lot of money. So they just revert just by default. You got to go find a roommate. I don't think anybody out there was, well, you know what, this inflation is just kicking my caboose, so I better move in with my man. No, I don't think that's how it happened, but I could be wrong, obviously.
About 3.2 million Gen Zers now live with a partner they're not married to. Roughly 650,000 more people than before the pandemic. The share of unmarried Americans living with a partner has been on the rise for the past few decades, but it has never been this high. A recent Realtor.com survey found that money was one of the main factors behind the decision to move in together for 80% of Gen Z couples. 1 in 4 respondents, all ages, said moving in together helped them save at least $1,000.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, right? Yeah. Again, things cost a lot of money. And this has been going on for a long time in New York and San Francisco. We, of course, just recently saw the article that said earning $100,000 in New York is basically like earning 36, not 300, 36 anywhere else. So it's been like this. Inflation obviously is not helping, and it's not rocket science. Like, oh yeah, oh man, this inflation, I better go, find my boyfriend and shack up with him. No, it's just the fact that everything is astronomically expensive, and it doesn't take an economist, it doesn't take an expert to realize that something's got to give. But this is them disguising the story about inflation to push the agenda. Now, I realize that this particular reel, this short here, doesn't have the photo, but the photo is what gets the clicks. The photo is what they put on Instagram. The photo is what they put on Twitter, right? This one here. They knew exactly what they were doing with that. And they don't mention it, because they're just trying to make sure that you know it's just normal. This is how everything is now. Okay? It's ridiculous.
Living together may be the best decision to cut costs, but some who did so are saying that was not the best choice for them. 40% of the people who moved in with a partner say they regret it now.
Yeah, I'm sure they do regret it, right? There's a lot of things that you probably regret, right? When we talk about that recent video of the town hall in Florida, those kids claiming that everything basically is equivalent to genocide if you don't let them mutilate their bodies. And you're going to hear a lot of regret when that comes around. But again, I digress. That's a completely different story. My point here is Bloomberg, the establishment shill hacks that they are, have disguised this story about inflation that everybody knows. We've been talking about it for 3 years now. Everybody knows that inflation is through the roof. And I highly doubt that any of these couples were like, oh man, this just, it's inflation and let's move in together. No, it's quite obvious that things cost more, so they need to move in together. And this is them just driving the agenda down your throat. No pun intended. This is what they're trying to do. They don't mention it, right? If there was some mention of it, it would be a little bit different. But the fact that they're not mentioning it almost makes it worse, because they're saying it's just normal. One of us, right? If you're not gonna trans the kids, if you're not gonna cut your junk off, you at least got to be a weird gay little eunuch living in a box, and you can't separate from your boyfriend because everything costs far too much money. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe. And if you can find this article without the paywall, send it to me.